And if you're having a hard time seeing the slides, if you're new to Zoom, you can move the box of faces that you see around so you can see the whole slide. Okay, so we're just gonna get cracking and talk about the 5 ways to keep your dog quiet while you work from home. Alrighty, so the first thing is if your dog tends to bark at sounds or sights coming from outside when they're looking through the windows, it's pretty common. There are a few different ways you can manage this situation. So the first is you can get window film. So this photo shows you, this one is a black, and you should not be able to see through it. When the sun is shining directly on your windows, I have heard from some people that you can still see some shadows. So depending how close or far away you are from the street and how good your dog's vision is, this might be something that won't work. But 9 times out of 10, it's wonderful. I love it. You can get it on Amazon. It's you can cut it to size. It's not permanent, so it's not going to damage anything. So you can just slap that on, and you're good to go. The next thing is tinfoil. As long as you don't mind looking a little bit like a loon. So my sleep consultant actually for my children told me about this hack while we were waiting for our blackout shades to come in and be installed. We needed sleep immediately. So it's really simple. You take a sponge or a wet rag, you wet your window, you pull your tin foil, cut it, stick it up on your window, and you're good to go. So it's kind of like your DIY version of the window film. Maybe not so great if you have front-facing windows, but any back-facing windows I find really helpful. It also stays up like forever. We had some in the back of our house up for like a year. So this also can be obviously cut to size, and so if you have those really weird like shapes of windows, this can really, really be helpful. And this is actually also good because nothing can come through. So with the window films, like I said, sometimes shadows come through. Nothing will show with this solution. Then we have half blinds. So this is obviously if the aesthetic is really, really important in your home. So a lot of people, when we talk about covering the blinds, they say, well, I like sunlight and I don't want to live in a dark cave just because my dog barks. So fair enough. So sometimes people will install these. That way your dog can't see through, but you can still get really wonderful sunlight through your window. What I really like about this specific kind is that your dog typically cannot like nose her way in and move the blinds out of the way like you see sometimes with like pull shades and curtains. This obviously requires professional installation. So depending on how long the stay-at-home orders are going to be, you might have to wait a while, and so the other temporary solutions might be a nice fit. Some dogs will also bark at just the sound. So even once you've closed off all the sights, the sound might be an issue. Oh wait, I have one more, sorry. I have one more solution for you, which is gate. If your room is with your windows is able to be gated off, and your dog can't see around to the windows, this is just the easiest solution that there is. In this photo, you can see the dog cannot see the window. If, for example, he could kind of peek through and look through those slats, you can always put some sort of sheet over it and then just, put like a pressure clamp on top of it to make so it doesn't move. And then, so now we'll get to the sounds, which is a white noise machine. This is called the Dome, D-O-H-M. And we're going to give you links to all these products at the end, so you don't have to worry about taking notes on that. This is also recommended by a sleep consultant. The reason that it is so effective is that it actually has a real fan inside. So it's not this like synthetic, electronic, weird noise that could give you a headache. You can also adjust the settings to make it the fan louder or softer. So this is really, really nice solution to block out the sounds. Both of my kids have them in their bedroom. Okay, so solution number two, never underestimate the power of a Kong. So stuffing and freezing Kongs is really a useful solution here. Some people aren't really familiar with the different Kong products. So the one you're probably going to be using is either the classic or the extreme, which are, that red is the classic and the black is the extreme. The extreme line by Kong, any toy of theirs that's black, it's meant to be to withstand really tough chewers. So if you have one of those dogs, you definitely want to go with that line, the extreme line. You want to get a Kong that's going to be able to fit a whole lot of stuff. So you're probably going to be looking, depending on the size of your dog, anywhere from a large to an extra, extra large. You can stuff it. You know, most people say, oh, I stuffed it with peanut butter and then my dog eats it in 10 minutes. So if you stuff it and then freeze it, that will last longer. You also can use different stuffings, anything that is a dog safe, taste like food. So cream cheese, peanut butter, full fat Greek yogurt. We like Greek yogurt because it's a bit, it's less runny. Pumpkin puree or sweet potato puree or really any vegetable puree, as long as we're not talking about avocados. Baby food, as long as it doesn't have onion or garlic or avocados or grapes in it. And then if your dog is eating wet dog food, or if you want to get the wet dog food version of your dog's food, that can go in there. This is sort of like elementary school level. So we're going to take you to the next level. We're going to get you guys some dissertations here in how to stuff a Kong. So this is from the Kong company website, and I highly recommend you guys check it out after this webinar. They have amazing ideas for different ways to stuff your Kong and different tricks and tips and sizing for however big your dog is. It's kind of amazing. I'm very impressed by them. So this is one of many examples that they have on their recipes on their website. So, you know, for this dog, they might have some sweet potato and they'll mix in some of the zucchini and then layer the next thing with peanut butter and then do some shredded carrots on top and then seal it off with more sweet potato maybe. The more you have in there, like these vegetables or like treats or even your dog's kibble, the harder it is for your dog to get through it. So it takes a lot longer. Some people, I actually have a client who they will feed, actually a few clients, they feed their dogs their meals from a stuffed Kong. So the way that would work is that the night before they prepare, you know, however many scoops of kibble their dog eats, they'll take 1 or 2 dollops of whatever, you know, paste-like food they want to use that day, sweet potato puree, Greek yogurt, whatever. They mix it all up so that it becomes kind of like goopy, and then they stuff it in the Kong and they freeze it overnight. And so if they have an early morning call, you just whip that out of your freezer and you can give it to your dog, and they can be busy for possibly up to 45 minutes. So it's a wonderful way to keep your dog occupied and leaving you alone. And then we have the ultimate, the popsicles. Okay, so this is, if you haven't heard of bully sticks, they are my best friend. They are long-lasting bone that your dog can ingest. You have to make sure that your dog is not apt to choking on any sort of bones like that. So you might need to have them in the same room as you. So you stuff your Kong with whatever you're going to stuff it with. You stick the bully stick inside, and then you freeze it. So now the next day, your dog has to get through an entire bully stick and then into their frozen stuffed Kong. So this is the ultimate. I think I have one client with some hounds who it takes them about 45 minutes, close to an hour, to eat a Kong that is made like this. So this can be a really great solution also. You just want to make sure if you're introducing any new food to your dogs that you give them a little bit, you just make sure it's not going to give them any tummy upset. And then each dog is different in terms of what they can handle in terms of extra calories in, because we don't want our dogs to be overweight, obviously, and also what their GI system can handle. So you might have to do a few test runs with smaller portions first. And then this image is just to show you, you know, you don't have to use just a Kong. We have a bunch of other things here. So this is our popsicle with a Kong. This here is something by West Paws. It's called Zogo, Zogo Flex. So that one is stuffed here. Down here, we have a hoof that's been stuffed. And then these 3 white things here are they were frozen marrow bones that the dog licked out. But because the bone is so sturdy, you can reuse this time and time and time and time again. So having a whole bunch in your freezer ready to go, highly recommended. Okay, so we are going to move on to number 3. So some people may have heard of automatic treat dispensers. Beth, I think you use it with your pups for stuff at the door, or you used to maybe for training with Jenna. So there are 2 on the market that I really like. The first one is the Treat and Train that you're seeing here. The way that an automatic treat dispenser works is that you fill the machine up with your dog's favorite treats or kibble. You press this handy dandy little button, and the food falls from the slot and into this tray. Now, we're going to play chase with this machine, meaning your dog is going to chase his treats back and forth. Not great if you don't have if you have hardwood floors, because you're going to hear your dog click, click, clicking. But if you have carpeting, this can be really great while you're on a call, because it's entertaining your dog for a very long time. So with this specific model, this Treat and Train, what you would do is you would remove this gray tray so that when you release a treat, it doesn't land anywhere. It just keeps going and rolling. And then to level up, you can see here, you put it onto a table. So when the treat drops, it then rolls away. Okay, and this dog has learned how to play the game pretty quickly, it seems. So the remote control is pretty small. So I recommend that you get a 2-sided Velcro strip and just like Velcro that sucker somewhere where you're not going to lose it. Probably best on your desk or wherever it is that you do your work. So you can just click every few seconds to get your dog going back and forth. The next model is called the Pet Tutor. I love the Pet Tutor. It's also $500. So it's pretty expensive, but it does amazing things. It comes with a chase mode, so you don't have to rig anything up. And you can see this dog, they've set this dog up so that the treat will just fall down right into his bed. But you can set this up so that it's a chase mode in the same way that you would set up the Treat and Train. What's nice about the Pet Tutor is that it has an automatic setting, so you don't have to keep clicking. You can just set it to release a treat however many seconds apart as you want. It also jams a little bit less, so your treats don't get you're not as likely to have a jam in there that you have to get up and fix. And then also, this I think is my favorite part about it, is they have a no bark setting, so you can preset your software that talks to your machine to say, as long as my dog is not barking every 15 seconds, please deliver another treat. You can start with it as long as my dog isn't barking every 2 seconds, right? And then you can, over time, you can increase the duration between treat releases so that your dog learns quiet equals food. And the nice thing is that it takes a human error out of it, because if your dog, let's say it's second number 10, it's like 10 seconds in, it's going to release on 15 seconds, but your dog has barked, that timer starts over again at 0, so that your dog can't find a way to beat the system, right? They have to be quiet for those however many seconds you want. So those are the 2 higher tech sort of options for you. And then tiring your dog out. So the reason I have walk with a question mark next to it is because for a lot of our dogs, the walks we give them don't actually tire them out. Sometimes, depending on the dog, it actually gets them more excited. It's kind of like a warm-up where it's like, great, that was really fun. I'm now ready to play really hard. What do you have for me? And you're like, ooh, I have to get on a call now. So walking isn't always the best first line of defense. You could potentially jog your dog if you and your dog both enjoy it, and if your veterinarian is okay with your dog going on jogs, because it's not, there are a lot of different reasons why your vet wouldn't want your dog jogging. So you definitely want to check in on that, and that might be useful, might be helpful. Something that I love to get is a flirt pool. So it looks like one of those cat toys, but on steroids. So what you see here, this is basically a PVC pipe. This here is a bungee cord, and this here is a toy. So like a tug toy. I'm gonna play you a video here of how it works. What's nice about the bungee cord is that when you're moving the toy around, if your dog jumps to catch it, he's not going to get like whiplash because there's going to be a little bit of give in that bungee cord to let him play. So I'm going to play a little bit of the video and tell you a few more things you can do with this toy. So as you see here, this dog is engaging, and then the trainer is going to stop, and then the dog is going to have to stop his body, stop himself, recenter himself as it were, and go again. This shows you how to just, put different lures on if your dog prefers one thing over the other. You can include some cognitive enrichment into this, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But here you see the dog is running and jumping and chasing, and then he needs to learn how to also drop it. I really like this game if your dog already knows how to drop it. If they don't, what you do is you have a handful of treats on you. Oh, look, and here, he's going to wait, and then he's going to go. You're going to have a handful of treats on you. Your dog is going to catch the toy. You're then going to put your handful of treats in front of his nose so that he smells it. And by smelling that food, he's going to release the toy and take a treat. And then you can ask him to sit, and you can go again. So the cognitive enrichment, getting his brain working, is really critical in also tiring him out. And so that's one way that the flirt pool can be really used in different ways. It's not just for physical exercise, it's also for some cognitive enrichment. It's also going to help your dog learn some self-control, which a lot of our barking dogs need to learn. So that's going to be really helpful for those reasons. Another thing I love about it is that you don't really have to do a lot of moving. So your dog, because our dogs typically have a lot more energy than we do. So we can keep up this way. You stand still. If you have a fenced-in backyard, you can play for a while until your dog is really tired. If inside you have like some sort of open plan where your dog won't bump into anything or won't knock anything over, you can also play inside. So on rainy days, if your dog doesn't want to go out, you still have an option inside. Another rainy day solution is a treadmill. This is a specific dog treadmill. And the ways that it is different from a normal treadmill is that there is a few extra safety features with these treadmills, just to make sure that dogs don't get their toes caught on anything. The other thing that's important about the dog treadmills as opposed to the human one, depending on how big your dog is, the human one, it might not be long enough for your dog to be able to extend their leg all the way back. So it would then decrease it would shorten their gait, which could then cause some muscle stiffening. So you definitely want to buy a treadmill that is for your dog's gait. And if you go to a dog treadmill website like Dog Pacer, you can see what they recommend for your dog's length and height. Also really great for rainy days. You do have to do a little bit of training to get your dog used to a treadmill, just depending on what their personality is like. At first, you just get the dog, you lure the dog on to stand on it, and you just give him a treat while he's standing in the right position, and then you throw a treat off. And you have to repeat that over and over again until your dog is comfortable getting on and standing, moving, just straight forward. And then you can start moving it very slowly and increase the speed very slowly while giving your dog treats. And then over time, your dog is just walking and doesn't really need any more reinforcement with food because the walking is so much fun for them. So that is our treadmill solution. And then we have fetch, but more exciting. So this is fetch going up and down your stairs. Again, you would have to talk to your veterinarian if they're okay with your dog having that much impact up and down. On like with these wooden stairs, it might be a bit too slick for a lot of dogs. So, you might get some stair treads or something like that. But basically, you sit at the top of the stairs, you throw the ball, your dog goes to get it, brings it back, and you repeat. This is specifically for dogs who really love to play fetch. If your dog is not really into fetch, it would be a little bit more trouble than it's worth, and I don't think it would tire them out. If your dog loves to play fetch but does not like to relinquish his ball, you get 2 or 3 balls, the exact same one. You put 2 of them in your pocket. You have the third one in your hand. You throw it. He goes to get it. As he's coming up on the landing, you're going to be sitting a few feet back from the landing of the stairs. As he comes on, you're going to reach into your pocket and show him the other ball. He will then drop what he has. You'll say yes and throw the ball again. He turns around, goes down the stairs, and you pick up the ball that he just dropped for you. And the reason you have that third ball in your pocket is that if he drops the ball, but then the ball goes rolling down the stairs, at least you have another one to be able to reinforce him with the throw. And then that's all you do. He comes up, he sees the ball, he drops it, you throw, you pick up the one he just dropped, and you just repeat. So again, it's a little bit of cognitive enrichment, a little bit of self-control as well. And then speaking of cognitive enrichment, this is a dog working with a snuffle mat. So a lot of people have been using these now for a while. They've become wildly popular, and they're really wonderful. Basically, what you're looking at here, it looks kind of like shag carpeting, and you sprinkle your dogs. You can do a full meal, or you can do treats, and you work it into the snuffle mat, and your dog has to move each piece of material around to get the food out. It's excellent for dogs who really like to use their nose a lot. I specifically like this for conference calls and things like that, because the dog has to be pretty still while doing it. A lot of the cognitive enrichment toys on the market are really loud because the dog is like bashing them around to get all the treats to fly out. This invites him to just be still and eat his food. And putting all of these things together can be really useful. So if, let's say you do a flirt poll, and then you want to come in for a cognitive enrichment and then get on your call, this specific kind of cognitive enrichment will also help your dog kind of cool down, so that he's had all this excitement, he's practiced some self-control, he's used his brain, he's used his body, he comes in, now there's a new way to use his brain, but his body is becoming still, and then he goes and takes a nap. Some people want to do this, the entire sequence, including the cognitive enrichment, before they get on a call, depending on their dog. But more often than not, giving your dog his cognitive enrichment right before your call starts is the best course of action, because he first has to solve it, and then he'll get tired and take a nap. And there's also the Kongs we talked about before. That's also considered cognitive enrichment. It's not quite as hard, but it certainly is. And it also promotes your dog being still. It actually promotes your dog lying down, because typically dogs do lie down when they're solving those Kongs. So that can be a really great way to put it all together. It takes a little bit more time than some of your other solutions, but we love this one. Okay. And then number 5, teaching your dog to relax on a mat. So this is the one that's going to be the most training heavy. You're going to spend some time doing this work when you're not on a conference call. You're going to dedicate some time to training every day with your dog, and before you can actually utilize it while you're on a call. But I think it's a wonderful solution. This is what our dogs who are learning to be service dogs will learn, because they have to be able to lie down and be calm in all sorts of situations. So the first thing I like to tell my clients is to get a bath mat as the dog's bed or mat that has a no slip grip on the back, because we don't want your dog walking onto that mat, and like moving around, and then now the mat is moving around if he's not feeling comfortable. This keeps everything nice and stationary. I also like it because it's not fluffy. You're gonna be seeing a video in a second. You're gonna be dropping a lot of treats on this mat, and if your mat is fluffy, what happens is it turns into a snuffle mat, which we don't want for this training. We want the dog to get the treat and wait for the next one immediately to come. If your dog gets up and starts sniffing around and looking for the last treat that you dispense, it's not going to work for the training plan. So this is what I use. You want your kibble. You can use kibble if your dog likes their kibble enough, or you can use treats. You just want the treats to be incredibly small because as you're about to see, you're going to use a whole lot of them for the training. So let's look at this video. So this is a Relax on Mat video, and it is by Sarah Owings, who is a really brilliant trainer, and she has a wonderful YouTube channel with a lot of instructional videos. So you should definitely check that out. We're going to give you the link to her page at the end of this. So let's open up, and 1 second. And okay, so her dog has already learned how to do this. The first step. We're about to see it here. Right, so she puts down her mat, and she sprinkles a bunch of treats on it just to get her dog used to, oh, this mat means there's food around. Okay, great. Okay, so that is, her dog has already learned that. So we're going to jump to step 2 with her dog here. Okay, so she has it on leash just to make sure, it's a very hyper puppy, make sure it doesn't run away. So you see, she is just dispensing treats pretty rapidly on the mat. It's okay if the puppy is getting up. The rules are, you can't look at me, you can't look at my treat, you can't look at the treats, and you can't look at my hands that are going to be dispensing the treats. The reason is because our dogs, sometimes when they learn to lie down on a mat, they're still really focused on us. They're just staring at us, waiting for the next treat or waiting for the next set of instructions. And that does not promote a relaxed puppy. It promotes a dog who will just lie down but stare at you, which is not really what you want when you're on a call. So we want to teach this dog how to relax without being dependent on you for more instructions. So right now, and as you can see, the dog is becoming more and more relaxed here, and the treats are coming about every 1 to 2 seconds. She's also putting them in a strategic way so that it encourages the dog to sort of shift over and get into a lie down position. This entire training session that she's showing us here is it's around 3 minutes long. So the training sessions are really, really short. So that's helpful for fitting it into your day. And we always want to end on a success. And then at the end of this, what she does is she calls her puppy away, and she picks up the blanket or the towel that she's using. And that's a really important thing to know. When you're doing this work, whatever mat you buy, you want to make sure you only have it down and available for your dog when you are ready to train in that moment. And then as soon as it's done, as your training session is done, that mat goes away again. Because over time with this training, what you're teaching your dog is that every time they see this mat, when they lie down on it, they get food. And so the presence of the mat on its own does part of the training for you. In time, you can certainly leave your mat out all the time and then ask your puppy or your dog to go to the mat and relax. But that's a totally different training plan. If you just want to use this for conference calls, that's fine. Get your mat out, get your treats out, and do this work. By the time you're going to be using this in real life situations, your puppy is not going to need to be treated every second or two, right? You're going to be able to do every 30 seconds or every 60 seconds, and then every minute, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's just the beginning step. And now I'm going to show you. This is me training one of my clients' dogs named Harper. She was an incredibly hyper poodle who just did not know how to turn it off. So we are already at about step 3 of this training plan. So she can go several seconds without getting a treat. She's tethered to a front clip harness. I don't like to tether dogs on a flat collar because they do get up and get excited. I don't want their neck to have that pressure on it. Here, what you're going to see is that Harper gets a little bit frustrated and she barks. Because I had been working with her for about, I think it was 3 weeks by this point of sessions 3 to 4 times a week, I knew what she could and could not handle. This is not something that I recommend at the beginning, but I knew what her different signals were to me, where she was a little bit frustrated, but will continue to work. As you can see, she nuzzles my hand, she barks at me. I'm not doing anything until, she lies down and gets her treat. So this sort of training is also cognitive enrichment, of course, because she has to figure out how to make the food keep coming, and she has to have enough self-control to wait it out. And as you can see right there, I'm going to rewind it for a second. She's lying down, and then right here, look at back hip. We're going to see her shift onto that back hip. There you go. That is a more relaxed position. And so we're looking for deeper and deeper relaxation in our dog's body language. Eventually, our dog is going to be lying down, going to have her chin on her arms, or she'll curl up, or she'll lie on her side, where she's like, yeah, I'll just take a nap now. And that's truly what we're looking for. Okay, and this video is just a little bit more of the same. She was learning not to look at me, right? And then right there, I went to treat her and she suddenly looked up, so I wanted to pause to make sure I wasn't rewarding her for a behavior I don't want. So, and I know that she can figure it out. So I'm just gonna wait it out for her. And then looking away, looking anywhere else, almost. And she's getting a little excited. A little bit of a bark. There it is. And then she relaxes again. Okay. So it does take some tenacity. It takes a lot of understanding your dog's body language and all of that. But it's a beautiful way to get our dogs to learn to relax. And then you can level up by putting an automatic treat dispenser that we talked about earlier right next to the mat. So this is a way to also kind of just get it done while you're on the call. So instead of playing chase, you put that tray back onto the machine, and that way the treat falls right to where that tray is. They don't have to move around. The treat always gets delivered to the exact same spot, and your dog very quickly will learn how to position themselves so that they don't have to move and they can just lie down and eat those treats. Sometimes the machinery inside the treat dispensers can be a little loud. The pet tutor is much quieter. The treat and train does have this loud machine sound to it. So some dogs do have to be warmed up to the idea of the machine. But what's nice is that it comes with instructions on how to do that. So they really did think it all through. So those are the 5 ways that you can help your dog stay quiet while you are on a conference call. These are all of our resources, which Ashley is going to be putting into the chat box. So the first one is the YouTube video we just watched, Relax on Mat. The second one is Amazon.com. So my company has a recommended product list. I'm not sponsored by any of the manufacturers. I just really like those products, or my staff likes those products, or my clients like the products. But I do get a very small percentage of each sale, so I do want to disclose that. But they are all things that we love and use with our clients, or our clients love and use and tell us about it. So if there's anything on that list that you don't see that you do love, shoot me an email, let me know, and I can add it on. The next is kongcompany.com. That was to all of the wonderful things to learn about Kong. Smart Animal Training is for the pet tutor. And then, of course, we are on Facebook and Instagram, and we would love to have you there. We do post videos and articles and different tips and tricks and all of that. So definitely check us out there. And then coming up, we are actually really excited. We're starting some group classes in 2 weeks. They're going to be led by Jenna, one of our trainers, and we're doing it on Zoom, and I'm really excited about it. So the first one is Pandemic Puppies. So it's your basic puppy class of teaching your dog, you know, socialization and what socialization means, and sit and down, and how to deal with nuisance behaviors. But it's been shifted to specifically address new concerns that have come up now that we're under these stay-at-home orders. So it's going to be really cool. It's 5 weeks. And you can go to our website, sabradogtraining.com, and where you signed up for this class, I've just added them on this morning. So you can click through and see the different times that those classes are taking place. And then we also have the Family Dog Essentials class, which is a class we used to run in person. So we have moved it onto Zoom as well. And that's also a 5-week course. And it's also going to be adjusted to make sure we can address some concerns that have come up from the pandemic that we're all experiencing. And then the last thing are some webinars we're going to have coming up. We don't have them scheduled yet, but definitely stay tuned. And that's going to be single, you know, topics on house training, crate training, loose leash walking, polite greetings, and one that I'm excited to be leading, which is New Dog, Now What? So that one's going to help if you've just gotten a dog. It's really going to be helpful to get them to kind of see how to get them acclimated into your home. So were there does anybody have any questions or anything that you wanted to ask? Just put it in the chat box, and then Ashley Wheeler will hop on and ask them.
So Beth Guest asks, I am using look command with Trooper to help him with leash reactivity while on walks. We also do mat work at home. I'm curious about how we reinforce conflicting instructions. Sometimes looking at me yields a treat, and sometimes looking away does. Trooper is not that bright, but he's very handsome though. Any advice?
What was the last part?
It says Trooper is not that bright. He is very handsome though. Any advice?
I love that. So I imagine Trooper now just gives looks when he sees another dog on a walk. So the presence of a dog on a walk elicits look. And you're concerned that if you only treat him when he's not looking at you on the mat, that perhaps it might contradict or might confuse him a little bit. Great question. So it's important to know what the trigger is, or what the cue is, or what the antecedent is, depending on what world you live in, that elicits the behavior. So just like sit means put your butt on the ground, dog in front of you means look at me. Just like pointing down to the floor means lie down, presence of a mat means lie down and ignore me. So training specifically with that trigger, stimulus, whatever it is how your dog will work it out. It might be a little bit confusing for Trooper for a little while, so it might take him a little bit longer to catch on, but he should totally catch on. He'll get it. You're welcome.
Okay, and Catherine asks, what are your thoughts on licky mats and puzzle toys?
Oh my gosh, I love licky mats with all my heart. It's a great alternative to the snuffle mat because, and for people who don't know what a licky mat is, it's a silicone mat that has like a maze almost in it, and you can spread whatever you would put into a Kong, you can spread on the licky mat, and then you can freeze that as well, or not, depending on your dog. and they have to lick all of the stuff out of the little nooks and crannies, and it's amazing. So you can definitely use that in place of the snuffle mat. It's also really good for dogs who maybe don't like the Kong, they don't like the shape, or they get frustrated easily. Using the licky mat, yes, Beth, that's for the win. If you can see that, Beth held. Will you hold that up one more time, Beth, just so we can see? Oh, okay. She has hers in her freezer. And as you can see, Beth has different things on there. So it doesn't have to be just one sort of taste like food. She has a bunch of different stuff on there, which is fantastic. You can also smush some like small hard treats into it. And so that makes it even harder. So yeah, I love them. And then what was the other toy that was asked about?
It just asked about puzzle toys.
Oh yeah, puzzle toys are amazing. The only reason that I wouldn't necessarily recommend all of them during your conference call is that some of them make a lot of noise and will get your dog really active, and that's the opposite of what we want. But other times, you know, if you want to do some cognitive enrichment before your call starts, that's a wonderful way to tire your dog out. Okay, do we have any other questions? All right. Well, if you guys do have any questions coming up, again, you can visit our website. You can, let me put this back up. You can email me directly. You can go to our website, our Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And thank you so much for attending. We hope to see you again another time. Thanks, everyone. Oh, there's something going on here. Okay, there we go. All right, thanks, everyone. Bye.